wherever you are in the world. This is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey with you today. Are you ready? Let's talk supply chain.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. I am coming at you live from Long Beach because I am here for IANA Expo. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I'm the founder of Let's Talk Supply Chain, the Blended Podcast, and founder of the Blended Pledge. And we've got a really exciting show for you today because we're going to be talking about digital transformation. I know, we talk about it all the time, but I just found out this stat that 80% of digital transformations actually fail. And we're going to go through all of those reasons, but we've got experts here to talk to you all about what you can do and how you can play it safe. Now, first, we need to hear from our show sponsors. So are you struggling or ready to find your community? If you're struggling to find a supply chain community of like-minded professionals where you can level up, network, learn about best practices from experts in supply chain, professional development, and marketing, look no further. We've created secretsocietyofsupplychain.com. Go and check it out. There's 3 distinct value pack communities for everybody in the industry: marketing professionals, women in supply chain, and the supply chainers, that's full of exclusive content that you will not find anywhere else. All right, well, let's get to what is happening on Let's Talk Supply Chain. So what's new? Well, we've got a brand new Woman in Supply Chain episode with Josephine Coombe from Nulogy, and she really shared a lot about her journey, not only in supply chain, but also in marketing, and she shared a lot of really, really great insights. So highly recommend you go and check out that episode. It's episode 425. Now, for everybody who's watching, I want to know where you're tuning in from, so make sure you put that in the comments because we want to hear from you. Next up, we've got some live events coming up. So Relex goes live talking about pricing and promotions data, and that is happening on Wednesday. That is at 9 a.m. Eastern. This is showing 6 a.m., but it's only because I'm on PST. So go ahead and check that out. Click the attend button, even if you can't attend live, because I will send you the recording because you don't want to miss this one. Then on Thursday, I go live at noon Eastern for future-proofing supply chain operations. Now, this is based on new research that WiseTech and CargoWise have come out with on leveraging technology for lasting impact. We've got a lot of people interested in this one, so make sure to click the attend button. I hope to see you there. If you cannot attend live, I will send you the recording as long as you click that attend button, but this is going to be a really, really great one. We've got a lot of really great speakers who are going to bring some insights about leveraging technology. And of course, Christine Barnhart is going to be back with Supply Chain Unfiltered next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. She's going to be talking about a journey of innovation and customer excellence when it comes to packaging. And we all know how important packaging is to your supply chains. What else have we got? Oh, I've got a brand new monthly hustle. So if you're not subscribed to my LinkedIn newsletter called the Monthly Hustle, we come out with a new edition I think it's the beginning of the month. This one is all about my side hustles. Now, I've had probably anywhere from 7 to 9 side hustles over the years, just trying different things. And in this particular edition of the Monthly Hustle, I talk about those side hustles, what the side hustles were, why I tried them, what I learned from them, and so much more. So go and check that out. We've had some really great feedback already. And last but not least, where am I going to be in person? Well, right now I am in Long Beach for IANA Expo. And then in September, I'm going to be at the GAIN Summit, September 25th through 26th. I'm also going to be at the Inland Conference, September 30th through October 2nd. And then October 27th to the 29th, I'm going to be in Cleveland, Ohio for the NMFTA Cybersecurity Conference. If you need to know about cybersecurity, they have all the experts there. So go and check that out. Then the Supply Chain Excellence Awards, I'm one of the judges, and that's actually happening in Miami. And then November 12th and 13th, the Woman in Supply Chain Forum, we're going to be there. And then, of course, Manifest 2025, that's February 10th through the 12th. So hopefully I am going to see you all there. But now it's time to bring up our guests, and I'm super excited for this. This is going to be a really great show, so stick around. All right. Hello, Shayna. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Hello. How are you?
Good, good, good. Super excited for today. When I was doing the research, that 80% stat of like digital transformations failing, I was like, no wonder everybody's overwhelmed and trying to figure this out. You know, we need to be able to go through some of these things and fail forward for us to make a lasting impact. But before we get into any of that, we do need to get to know you. So Shayna, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, talk a little bit about ATCO.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shayna Atkins. I'm the founder of ATCO. We're a lean, agile solution integrator, and we help companies continuously improve in an information era. We focus on ways of working and do that in order to take clients from problem solving to acceleration. If I had to pick 3 hashtags, right, about what we do, I'd choose digital transformation, digital modernization, and integrate and automate.
Digital modernization. So I haven't heard that term, but I really, really like that. And the fact that you're explaining it through hashtags, I think that's even better.
Sometimes you got to give people the short and sweet.
You totally do. And I love that. That's what I love about you. All right, Mike, you're up next. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and talk to us a little bit about your company.
Hi, Mike Kennedy. Yes, I'm Vice President of Technology Enablement at CDW. And for those who don't know, CDW is a company that reaches globally and helps our customers bring IT to life and do great things. And we do that by providing hardware, software, as well as solutions and services to make sure our customers have that end-to-end solution to drive what they need for their market and their business.
Yeah, bringing IT to life. I love that too. I mean, you don't really talk about IT that way, but really at the end of the day, IT is what brings, everything to life for an organization. So that's a really good one too. That should be your hashtag.
I think they're working on it, but no, you're right. It's absolutely correct. And it's no longer IT cost center. It's now IT enablement.
Exactly.
IT enablement. Yes. Almost, you know what? We should probably change that to empowerment.
I like it. Even better.
Right? Because IT kind of empowers everybody in the organization through technology.
It's absolutely right. I don't think there's an organization or department left that doesn't require some IT intervention, some support. And, it's one of those worlds in which when it's done well, it seems seamless and it helps promote the company and advance their strategy. When it's not done so well, it tends to be a hindrance and something people have to work around, which is why transformation is such a great topic.
That's so true. And we're going to get to that in a minute because for this particular show, I brought together an article about the 12 reasons of failure around digital transformation. So we're going to talk about all those. And actually, I was surprised to see that technology was only 20% of that. But we're going to get to that in just a minute. Let's get to the poll of the week really, really quickly. So we ask everybody a question every single Wednesday morning across our Let's Talk Supply Chain LinkedIn page. Now, last week we asked you, what's powering your supply chain today? Now, we have almost 130 votes. We still have a day left. So if you want to participate, go ahead and check this out. We've put the link in the comments. Now, 40% of you said efficiency and cost savings. 30% of you said tech integration. 27% of you said risk mitigation strategies. And then we've got a few comments below, which I'll get to in just a minute. But Shayna, I want to ask you, does this surprise you? Is there anything else that you'd like to see there? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think I definitely agree completely with the things that I see here. And I believe that one thing that I am surprised that is kind of here in the risk mitigation piece is around just planning for disruption, right? Like 31% of companies take over 120 days to recover from disruption. So how do we run supply chains that continuously improve and innovate at pace? And I think that's a lot of what drives like change and transformation efforts in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you think, Mike?
I'm not that surprised. When you look at it, it really looks like it's a third, because honestly, we need it all. Right? There's nothing on that list that I think an organization would look at and say, we're not addressing or we're not trying to tackle. Really, it's how do these all interconnect and how do we get to the root, right? Because I think we all spend time worrying about symptoms and trying to tackle little issues that arise. It's getting to those core nuggets, right? And making sure we can mine those out and address those that help you get benefits across that stack. But I do think that survey is great because it does highlight people are seeing issues across the stack and they're looking for all of that today.
Yeah, that connectedness of like a cross supply chain network for sure.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but that tech integration piece, I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about today, that tech empowerment, tech integration, super important. Now, Deborah also says ESG, transitioning lean just-in-time supply chains that were designed for efficiency into circular. Mahai says the people, they are driving everyone's supply chain. I mean, you can't argue with that. People run supply chains, so that is totally true. And Yaniv says, as it stands, 70% think that efficiency, costs, and tech are the most important thing. So we're going to be talking about that because I want to get to the next article because it's super important. I mean, you were talking about how little pieces of, tech really enable digital transformations. But the next article that I want to share with everybody is 12 reasons your digital transformation will fail. Now, some of the interesting stats in this is that it said 84% of them will fail. I said an average of 80% because also there was a McKinsey report that said 70 to 95%, which was interesting. But the reason for your digital transformation failure is not actually the technology. What they're talking about in this particular article is that technology is only 20%. Now we'll get into the 12 reasons, but Shayna, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about this article, talk about the digital transformation piece, and why it fails so much.
Yeah, so I think you hit it on the head when you said technology is only 20% of the equation. What I often see and what we are really adamant about is instead of kind of coming in with a out of the box sort of approach, how do you really understand what's happening on the ground and almost take what we call like a gimbal walk and go and see what's the reality. And then from there, draw up a vision and bring the right people, the right process, the right tech. And how Mike and I know each other is kind of going through a digital transformation together. And I would say that is 100%, the point of view that we had when we worked together. I would also say that company culture has a really big impact on transformations. We're out of the Midwest and there's a such thing as like Midwestern nice, which means, we want to make sure that as we go through things that we're always considering like others and what that means in our kind of cross team collaboration. And then sometimes, we deal with, like in this article, they talk about like technological mismatches. So solutions that don't directly address specific business needs. And there's a really big effort that I feel is really important when you get into the transformation space of aligning kind of the business strategy, the overall mission of a corporation to the implementation plan and what exactly the execution is, and actually setting those really clear objectives, making sure we have the right resources, being mindful, right, that resources are not unlimited, and what are we working with, and then really figuring out risk management so that we can kind of stay on track. But yeah, I believe that if you don't do that gimbal walk at the beginning or really understand what's happening and set the vision, that's what I find and see just takes you off track from the beginning. And when you kind of start, it's hard to it's hard to come back from. I think the other thing is taking things a little bit at a time. When you think about transformation, you're thinking about an entire organization. And so it's sometimes it feels like you can't take small bites, and that I think is super important.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that because we almost need to be able to have the grace and the space as leaders and as teams to be able to try different things to see what's going to work and what's not going to work. I mean, having conversations, taking a look at what's out there, trying to understand as much as you can about how they're going to help you and help you solve your challenge is only as good as the conversations that you are having and the understanding, like the complete and total picture of understanding of where you are and what technology you need to help solve for that. Mike, what did you think about this article?
Yeah, the article's great. Honestly, I think it brings to life a lot of things those of us who've gone through transformations kind of have seen and know inherently. And if I was to summarize it, what I would say is it highlights that you need to tackle the people, the process, and the technology in parallel and simultaneously. Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds cliche. People, process, tech has been a saying around forever. But I think in transformation, it's all the more important because addressing just one of those verticals causes issues in the other. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, people will come and say, we just need this new system, or we just need this new tool, or we just need this new whatever. We're already backwards. Right? We shouldn't start from the tool. We should start from the strategy, as Shayna was saying, and talk about how are we going to now implement and realize that strategy by tools, by process, and by people. Because honestly, if you forget one of those, it'll be your undoing. And I think this article does a great job of pointing out how those things manifest when you forget one.
Well, it's kind of human nature, right? If I get that new job, if I get that new house, things are just going to be better, right? It's kind of
right.
It'll just solve it.
Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah,
go ahead.
You'll just solve it, right? It just fixes itself, right? Because everything else is working. The problem is, especially these days, the process and technology have become so intertwined. Gone are the days where you're just deploying an Access database or some sort of quick fix that you grew yourself. These SaaS platforms are super powerful, not only at being able to capture and help you process information quickly, but also enabling processes that they've worked out over many years in many industries, time and again. So really, when you buy a tool like a SaaS platform or you bring in a new system, you're as much bringing in a new process as you are a new tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But also, it's not sort of one size fits all, right? We don't all necessarily have all the same challenges. They might be somewhat similar, but there's going to be some differences and some nuances. Right. And with the amount of technology that's out there, it can get very overwhelming. And plus, there's a lot of pressure to make the right choice.
Yep, absolutely.
Big dollars, right? You're talking about big investment in time, in terms of resources and time. And this is where, exposure and being able to get a sense for what the market can offer. And to your point, Sarah, what fits for you, right? Because just because everyone else is doing something doesn't mean it's necessarily right for you or your business, right? And again, people feel pressure sometimes of, hey, I need to get on this platform or I need this tool. You really have to step back and, to Shayna's point, start with strategy. Because if you don't know why you're doing it, chances are you might make the wrong decision or have to go back and repeat the process.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my list because big shiny object, I think, was number 5. So I highly recommend everybody to go and read this article. Check out the 12 reasons why it's not working out for you. Some of them are lack of alignment, lack of awareness, but remember, it's only 20% technology. So what is it that you need to fix internally before you look at digital transformation? All right. So I want to get to the next article, and maybe we start with sort of the story of how you both connected, because this is a white paper that you've put together. It's called Becoming Safe Without Playing Safe, and it's spelled differently. So I know there's something to do with safe here. And I want to know, what all of that means. But Shayna, I'm going to start with you first. How did you both get connected, and where did this sort of story and sharing come from for this white paper?
Yeah, so we got connected. CDW is based out of the state of Illinois. ATCO is also a Chicago-based business. So we're kind of come from the same area in the country. And we got connected because CDW, I believe, is around 39, 40 years old. They were navigating kind of some modernization efforts. They were on an ascent to cloud first and have gotten there. And they're really, really customer first, like trying to deliver a customer first experience. But they were shifting a little bit about like their strategy and how they deliver to customers. And so Mike brought my company in to do a small pilot to kind of assess ways of working, and to think about like what exactly do we need to look at from a continuous improvement and agile perspective. So that's my version of the story, Mike. But I don't know if you have an addition or a different version to tell. I feel like we're like by the fire talking about how we met.
I know it's like our meet cute. So we were absolutely looking to try and realize our strategy as a technology organization, and we knew changing the ways of working and moving to a more dynamic, more flexible, faster pace was necessary. Not only because it would help us, but because that's the way our customers are going, that's the way the market is going. So we have to keep pace with that. And so as we looked at partners who help us go through that, Shayna and ACCO ended up being a perfect fit for what we wanted to achieve. Because Sarah, you made the point of not everything is the same for everyone. We wanted to make sure that we could look at a more white glove approach to how we implement and how we assess, because SAFE is a model, right? It's a model for how to do work and how to think about your business. It's not the same for everyone. Everyone's business is slightly different. And so having someone who can appreciate and understand that and get to those kind of nuggets of why you're different and what makes you special and gives you an advantage, we could then enhance those. And Shayna and ACCO ended up being a partner, and Shayna and I have become close in this endeavor because, again, we did it together, right? Yeah. It was her and her business understanding us and us understanding the SAFE process that made it succeed in the end.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Sarah.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say one thing I really appreciate about this, and Mike is mentioning, ACCO is a framework agnostic company. So we built kind of a custom solution and evaluate different frameworks that are out there, like the best of what's out there. So we walked into this, we did not know kind of what approach we were going to go with. So the title was not where we knew where we were going to be in the beginning. And it really started from us doing the Gemba, being on the ground and figuring out the problem statements and deciding what to solve.
Awesome. Well, and sometimes you just need that collaborative partner, right? That guidance to really make sure that you're seeing everything that you need to be seeing. Yeah. So Shayna, what does this becoming SAFE mean? What can people expect from downloading this white paper?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a story time, right? We talk about how when ACCO was on the ground with CDW, where do we start? So we knew there was a lack of transparent cross-team prioritization, ambiguous roles, requests that caused disruption, and we were trying to figure out how to really hone in on decision making. I think what motivated this particular white paper is that there were a lot of things that happened we didn't predict. One was coming off of COVID, some geopolitical events in Ukraine, Silicon Valley Bank happened, and then kind of this rapid acceleration in AI where it's just like became a part of our everyday life. So I believe what motivated this was that us writing this is that what we realized is like the world is not going to get easier when you're trying to implement and institute change within your organization. And so since we did have this experience where everything that could happen happened, we wrote a white paper about what it meant to actually deal with that, what the outcome was, and what the power of partnerships were. So funnily enough, we had some really, really good results, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the impetus of this was really organic. Like, hey, we did this. I think we did a pretty good job. Things went well, and we went through a lot. And so that's the reality of a lot of organizations. And so let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and I also think like options and choice. Right.
Exactly.
You've got somebody there who's collaborating with you, who understands what's out there. So you're not missing anything, but so you can pivot a lot quicker I think. I want to give a shout out to Adam and Jennifer over on my personal LinkedIn. Thanks so much for joining us. I know Jennifer put some comments on there, so I'll have to tag Shayna after the show. Mike, do you have anything else to add about this white paper and why people should download it? And then we're going to get to our next article.
Yeah, I would just say, it was something I would want to read. If I was going to go through a transformation, it's something I would have wanted to have available to me so I could read it and at least learn from the process and learn from others who've had to go through it. I've done this now in a couple companies of transforming and moving to more of an agile or safe model. It's not easy. Sometimes it takes a really, really long time, but we were able to achieve this in a relatively short period of time. I think it was just over a year. And it was a large organization of a couple hundred individuals that we were able to move. And you mentioned about why things fail. If you look at that list, the majority of them tend to lean on the people side of things, to your point about it's not tech. You can put a server in, you can put a system in, that's the easy part. How do you get the people to come with you on that journey? And how do you paint the picture of what the end state's going to be? That's how you move people in hearts and minds. And that's what I think our paper in particular is trying to communicate.
Well, and also, how do you reduce that 80%? I mean, that 80% failure rate is a big number, and that's going to overwhelm a lot of people. And so how do you reduce that? Well, this white paper is going to show you how to do that and best practices so that you can avoid that 80% number, which comes with a huge price tag.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's right. And to your point, Sarah, the biggest thing is going in eyes open. Right? If you knew you were going to make an investment in which 80% fail, you would do your due diligence. I don't know that every business does the same level of due diligence that they would if they fully appreciated 80% fail for those reasons that you outlined earlier.
Yeah.
Again, this was how we did it.
Yeah. Well, and think about investment in a company. Like investors, when they're going to invest in a company, the due diligence and the process that they go through to be able to invest money into that business. And there's a lot of startups that do fail as well. So we kind of have to think about it the same way that investors would, because you're investing in the systems, you're investing in the technology, you're investing in the people that may not realize that you're investing in the people, but you're really investing in the people. All right. So Agile has been mentioned a few times. I know we've only got about 3 minutes till the end of the show, but I want to touch on this one because this article goes through the history of Agile. And one of the reasons why I want to bring it up is because Agile has had a bit of a bad rap over the years, but obviously Shayna and Mike are talking about it today in a positive light. And I think that it's been changed around over the last couple of years. Also, last week on Thoughts and Coffee, Audrey and I talked about how the downfall of Ted Baker was because they didn't have an agile supply chain. They didn't have the technology. They weren't agile to pivot and move with all of the disruptions. So I think it's important to note and important to talk about because both of you have mentioned it a few times in this particular episode. So Mike, I'm going to start with you. What did you think about this article? What are some of the valuable takeaways that people should take away from this particular article?
Yeah, I think when you take a step back, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think we all can see some aspect of our daily lives in what was outlined here as well. Because whether you're a company, an individual, a family, it doesn't matter. There are things that are going to be thrown at you that you're not going to expect. How you react to them and the time it takes you to process and then resolve it is what makes the difference sometimes between success and failure. I'll share a quick story. I had a mentor one time who told me, don't think of Agile as a software development process. Think of it more like sports. Some companies run like football, where they call in the play, they huddle, they talk, and then they go do it. Some run like hockey. You put your people on the ice, you explain what you want them to do, and you trust them to do it. I think more and more companies are trying to be like hockey teams where they've got the right people with the right ideas, knowing what their strategy is and what the successive goal looks like, so they can go out and then coordinate together real time to solve some of these challenges. Because, as Shayna pointed out about some of the challenges we saw, the world is dynamic and changes a world away on the other side of the earth can impact our businesses here in the US just as easily as something down the street.
The analogies that we have come up with on this episode. I mean, we've talked about sports and investment all around digital transformation. All right, Shayna, last word. What did you think about this one? Why should people check it out?
I think people should check it out because ultimately the history of Agile, kind of from its underground to like being widely adopted across a lot of organizations, is really important. And I live and breathe Agile in my everyday life. And we eat our own dog food at ATCO, and we've seen tremendous growth. And I believe CDW in the last few years has also seen tremendous growth. So I would say that, yeah, some 80% of digital transformations fail, but there are companies out there who have invested and have seen phenomenal growth. And there are some companies who did absolutely nothing and they're no longer here. So it's definitely something like ways of working Agile is something that in continuous improvement, which I think is really what it's about today, is like, how do we continuously improve in a world that's always changing and advancing our business and our lives.
Awesome. Well, everyone, go and download the white paper. All of the links are in the comments. If you're over on my personal, I will add those in just a few minutes. Go and download those. Go and check them out. Connect with Shayna and Mike over on LinkedIn. Send them some direct messages. I'm sure they want to hear from you. And thanks so much to everybody for watching. Mike and Shayna, thank you so much for joining me today on the show.